They warned us. They said the mine was cursed, swallowed by time, forgotten by history, and sealed away for a reason. But we didn't listen. Curiosity is a dangerous thing when you're staring into the mouth of something ancient, something alive, hidden deep in the mountains of Habala. This abandoned mine isn't just a relic of the past. It's a gateway into darkness, madness, and a truth so terrifying it seeps into your bones and refuses to let go. What starts as a simple exploration turns into a psychological descent through haunted shafts, collapsing tunnels, and blood-soaked history. Whispers in the walls, shadows that move on their own, and visions that blur the line between what's real and what's not. This isn't just a mine, it's a graveyard, and something down there is awake. Would you dare venture into the abyss beneath Habala? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you go into the tunnels alone? Or would you turn back once you heard the first scream? If you're ready to uncover what really lies beneath the surface, hit that like, smash that subscribe, and share this with anyone who's ever been tempted by the thrill of the unknown. Because once you go down, there is no coming back the same. The wind howled like a dying animal as we stood at the edge of the cliffside, staring down at the rusted iron gate that marked the entrance to the Habala mine. Thick fog clung to the air, swallowing the jagged rocks and pine trees surrounding us. I could feel the chill seep into my bones, not just from the mountain air, but from something else. Something wrong. "Y'all sure about this?" Marcus asked, pulling his coat tighter around his broad shoulders. His voice wavered despite his usual confidence. Beside him, Lena adjusted the strap of her backpack, the headlamp on her fore flickering slightly. "We've come too far to back out now. This place hasn't been touched in over 50 years. If there's anything left to discover, it's untouched history." Caden, our quiet videographer, gave a thumbs up, already filming us with his shoulder-mounted camera. We weren't amateurs. We'd explored ghost towns, sunken bunkers, and derelict asylums for our horror adventure channel Dark Dive. But something about this place didn't feel like a normal abandoned site. The locals in the village below had warned us not to come up here. They spoke in whispers about the mine, about voices that echoed from the shaft, of strange lights at night, of men who had entered but never returned. One old man had even clutched my wrist, his fingers like twigs, and begged me not to go. "They sealed it for a reason," he'd rasped. "There's things in there that don't belong to this world." But here we were, four thrill seekers on the edge of darkness, driven by views, fame, and the thrill of the unknown. I stepped forward, gripping the bolt cutters and snapping the lock off the gate. It groaned open, revealing the yawning black mouth of the mine. "Welcome to Habala," I whispered. The tunnel swallowed us. The moment we crossed the threshold, the air changed. It was damp, thick with decay and the faintest scent of iron, like old blood. Our headlamps illuminated dusty tracks, a broken cart, and wooden support beams that moaned under the weight of time. About 50 feet in, we found the first relic. A torn piece of fabric, brown with age and something darker, maybe mold, maybe blood. Caden zoomed in on it as I held it up. "That doesn't look 50 years old," Lena murmured, eyeing the frayed edges. "Someone's been here recently," Marcus guessed. I turned slowly. "Then where are they now?" We pressed on, our footsteps crunching against gravel. The deeper we went, the colder it got. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the drip, drip, drip of unseen water. Our breath formed pale clouds in the beam of our lights. Then came the scratching. At first it was faint, a soft skittering in the shadows. We froze. "Rat," Marcus suggested, though his voice lacked conviction. "Maybe," Lena replied, frowning. "But rats don't usually stop when you shine a light." I swung my beam into a corner. Nothing. Empty. But the sound, it hadn't echoed. It was close. We kept moving. My watch read 8. When we reached the first fork, a split in the tunnel with rusted signs pointing left and right. The left read "Deep Shaft Key. No entry." The right, "Storage and lift access." Naturally, we chose left. The shaft descended. We had to climb down rusted ladders, our boots slipping on the wet rungs. Below, the air grew heavier, the light dimmer. Caden's camera picked up something faint, glitchy static along the edges of the frame. He tapped the screen. "Is it the battery?" I asked. "No, it's interference," he said slowly. "Electromagnetic maybe, but there's no equipment down here." We reached the bottom of the shaft. It opened into a massive chamber, the walls scorched black in places. Beams snapped, tools scattered like someone left in a hurry. Something exploded down here, Marcus noted, stepping over a broken pickaxe. As I turned in a slow circle, my light caught movement. A flash of white. A person. Did you see that? I whispered. See what? Lena asked. Then, over there I ran, my beam dancing across rock and steel. But nothing. Just shadows. And then the screaming started, not from us. It came from deeper inside the mine. Screaming, raw and desperate. Echoing through the tunnels like a banshee's wail. Caden nearly dropped his camera. Marcus cursed loudly, pulling his knife. Lena shook her head, her eyes wide. That wasn't real, she said. That couldn't be real. No one else is down here. The light flickered again. For half a second we were in darkness. In that moment, I saw them. Face twisted, malformed. Eyes like burning coals, teeth too long for human mouths. Pressed against the walls like they were part of them. When the light returned, they were gone. I think we should turn back, Caden said, his voice strained. No, I replied, even as my heart pounded. We keep going, just a little further. We entered another tunnel, this one with metal rails leading into a sloped corridor. The walls here were covered in old carvings, symbols, patterns, and faces. Hundreds of them, all screaming. Lena ran her fingers along one. These weren't made by miners. These are ritualistic. Marcus suddenly groaned and staggered. Did anyone else hear that? Hear what? I asked. The whispering. It's in my head. It's not mine. He clutched his ears, dropping to his knee. Blood trickled from his nose. We backed away in terror. The tunnel behind us was gone. Just black stone. No exit. No trace of where we came in. And from somewhere beyond, that scream came again. But this time, it was close. Marcus writhed on the floor, gripping his skull as if it were on fire. His voice came out in guttural gasps. Words chopped and foreign. I dropped to my knees beside him, trying to hold him still. His eyes rolled, whites bulging as he screamed again. Only this time, it wasn't just pain. There was something inhuman behind the sound, like multiple voices, overlapping through his throat. Get him up, help me, I shouted. Caden dropped the camera and lunged to grab Marcus's arms, while Lena gripped his shoulders. He convulsed once, twice, and then went still, shuddering, as if the air had been yanked from his lungs. His body went limp in our hands. Marcus, I whispered. His eyes slowly opened. But they weren't his. Where there had once been brown irises, there was now an oily black sheen, like coal slicked with something darker. He blinked slowly, looking between us. Don't listen, he croaked. It speaks, beneath. What the hell does that mean? Lena whispered, backing away. Her flashlight beam trembled against the walls. Before any of us could respond, the tunnel ahead let out a groaning sound, like stone bending, grinding under pressure. Something heavy shifted in the distance, and the sound of chains dragging across rock echoed through the darkness. Move, I hissed. We need to find another way out. I scanned the chamber, eyes searching for a gap or crack, or passage we'd missed. And there behind a collapsed mine cart, half buried in rubble, a narrow crawl space, just wide enough to squeeze through. This way, one by one, we shoved Marcus through, then Lena, then Caden. I was last. The rock scraped my back, snagged my jacket, and filled my nostrils with dust and rot. The tightness made it hard to breathe, and behind me, I swore I could hear something slithering. We emerged into another shaft, this one steep and descending, like a spiral. Wooden planks groaned under our weight, old mining signs, faded and twisted, pointed downward. One read depths, unrecorded, keep out, but it had been clawed, yes, clawed into splinters. I helped Marcus to his feet. He was dazed, breathing hard. Something's watching. It's been here forever, buried, forgotten, hungry. Stop talking like that, Lena said sharply. You sound like them. Them? Caden echoed, voice tight. Marcus didn't respond. He just stared downward. As we followed the stairs, Lena began humming under her breath. A lullaby her mother used to sing to her, she said. But soon we all noticed something chilling. She wasn't humming. The sound was coming from deeper in the tunnel. We froze. The lullaby continued, soft and lilting, like a child singing in the dark. Notes echoed off the rock. Familiar and wrong. Okay. Nope, Caden said. Nope, that's it. We turned back. Back where? There is no back. We're sealed in. As if to mock me, the ground behind us shuddered, and part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking the crawl space we'd come through. Dust erupted, stones scattered. We were trapped. Lena's light flickered. Then Caden's. We turned them off, and the tunnel stayed lit. A faint greenish glow pulsed from veins in the walls, like bioluminescence, but unnatural, sick. It illuminated more of the carvings. They moved, twisted slowly like they were breathing. The faces on the walls changed expression, their eyes opening, mouths widening into silent howls. Don't touch the walls, I warned, my voice dry. Don't even look too long. We quickened our pace, breathing heavy, ears straining for anything behind us. The lullaby was gone, replaced by something worse. Whispers. They slithered along the walls like smoke, brushing our skin without ever touching it. They sounded like voices. We knew my brother, Lena's father, Caden's old mentor. All dead. Each whisper was a lie wrapped in a memory. They told us things, secrets, regrets, failures. You left him in the fire, I heard in my brother's voice. He screamed for you. I clenched my fists. It's not real, I muttered. It's not real. Beside me, Lena broke down sobbing, clutching her ears. Caden stared blankly ahead, walking like a sleepwalker. And Marcus. He was smiling. His black eyes gleamed in the sickly light. We reached another chamber, larger than the last. This one had remnants of a forgotten ritual. Candles melted to the stone. A circle etched in iron. Bones arranged in spirals. Skulls. Too many to count. Caden filmed it all, breathing ragged. This wasn't mining. This was sacrifice. A voice boomed from the dark. No source, no echo. You shouldn't have come. Every light blinked out. We screamed, fumbled, clawed for each other. In the pitch black, something brushed my leg. Cold, slimy. A hand. I turned, wildly swinging my flashlight. When it came on, it lit up a figure, impossibly tall, hunched, wrapped in decayed leather robes, face hidden beneath a stitched mask of flesh. Its fingers ended in hooked bones. It watched us with eyes of coal. We ran back into the twisting tunnels. The thing moved behind us, silent but fast. No footfalls, no breathing, just that oppressive presence pushing against our backs. Caden stumbled. The camera hit the floor. Sparks flew. He screamed, but didn't stop. He ran on, clutching a new wound along his ribs. The path split again, this time without signs. We took the left, desperate. It narrowed. The air thickened. The light turned red. Blood seeped from the walls. It wasn't paint. It wasn't illusion. We were in something alive. Marcus laughed, the sound high and broken. It's not a mine, it's a womb. And it's waking up. I slapped him hard. Stay with us. But he only stared, murmuring to something we couldn't see. Lena slipped and fell hard, shrieking as her leg twisted. I dropped to her side. Her ankle swollen, maybe broken. No time to check. We'll carry her, I said. Caden nodded. Together we hoisted her between us. Marcus walked ahead, like a prophet leading lambs to the slaughter, whispering in tongues. From behind the voice came again. You came seeking horror. Now horror seeks you. A wall of flesh closed behind us. We were deeper than the maps, deeper than history. We were inside the mine, and something ancient had opened its eyes. We didn't speak. There was no room for conversation, only survival. The tunnel ahead stretched endlessly, like it was rebuilding itself with every step we took. The ground felt different now, less like stone, more like something that breathed beneath us. Soft, spongy, warm. Lena whimpered with every hop, her broken ankle sending pain through her body. Caden and I each supported one side of her, sweat running cold down our backs. Marcus kept ahead, murmuring under his breath, black eyes flicking across the walls like he was reading invisible scripture. The red light that glowed from the tunnel's veins, pulsed steadily, like a heartbeat. I couldn't help but match my breathing to it. Inhale, exhale, inhale. The rhythm was hypnotic, lulling. And that's when I saw it. A shadow, low to the ground, crawling along the ceiling like a spider. It had limbs too many, elongated, jointed wrong, twitching and contorting as it slithered across the stone above us. Its eyes, or what passed for them, were white slits, lidless, and glowing. I blinked, gone. I didn't say anything. I just tightened my grip on Lena's arm and picked up the pace. Behind us, the tunnel groaned again, as if shifting, remaking itself to trap us. We rounded a corner and stumbled into a new chamber. Unlike the others, this one was almost pristine. Smooth stone walls, free of blood or carvings, with columns that rose to an unseen ceiling. In the center stood an altar, black and cold, shaped like a cube, slick with something oily. Marcus dropped to his knees before it. "No," Lena barked. "Don't touch it." But his hands were already on the surface. The moment his skin met the stone, a deafening shriek split the air. No, not air. It came from inside us. It vibrated our bones, clawed at our minds. I screamed without realizing it, dropping Lena as I covered my ears. Caden stumbled back, eyes wide. His nose and ears bled. "Make it stop." And then it did. Silence slammed into us like a crashing wave. Marcus stood slowly. The blackness in his eyes was gone, but now they were glowing red. He turned toward us, smiling. "It spoke to me," he said. "It told me the truth." I stepped back, shielding Lena with my body. "Marcus, you need to stay away from that thing." He tilted his head. "It's not a thing. It's a key. This place, this mine, it was built around something buried, something ancient. Before language, before time, the miners woke it and tried to trap it, but it never died." "Bullshit," Caden snapped, holding his camera like a weapon. "You're losing it." "No," Marcus whispered, voice full of awe. "I've found it." Suddenly he screamed, arching backward. His mouth opened wide, too wide, and a cloud of darkness poured from him. Smoke that wasn't smoke. It writhed in the air, forming symbols, whispers, shapes. The chamber darkened. Our lights died. Lena cried out. I fumbled for my flashlight, hands shaking. When it flicked on, Marcus was gone. Only the altar remained, and a new tunnel, one that hadn't been there before. We stared at it in horror. Did it just open? Caden, "It's calling us." I muttered. "Marcus is in there." "Then he's dead," Lena said through clenched teeth. "And if we go in after him, we will be too." But what choice did we have? The chamber behind us was sealing up, thick, red rock oozing down like wax. We couldn't go back forward. I said grimly, "Stay close. Don't touch anything." The new tunnel was narrower, slicker. The walls glistened. We walked for what felt like hours. Time didn't flow normally down here. Our watches blinked erratically. Seconds stretched into eternities. Lena passed out twice. We carried her. Then the hallucinations began. At first it was whispers, our names spoken in familiar voices. Then memories. The walls shifted, showing scenes from our past. My mother's funeral, Caden's childhood bedroom, Lena's high school stage. But everything was wrong. In my memory, my mother turned and looked straight at me, her eyes eaten out, her skin peeling. "You left me alone," she said. Caden's childhood bedroom burned around him. A small version of himself screamed in the flame. Lena's stage was empty, until she stepped forward and saw herself hanging from the rafters. "Stop it," she shrieked. "Get out of my head." She collapsed, shivering violently. I held her tightly. "You're okay. You're okay. It's not real." Caden swore softly. "I think we're inside its mind. It's not just showing us fear. It's feeding on it." The tunnel opened again, into something monstrous. The chamber was a cathedral of flesh. Bones formed arches. Teeth lined the walls like trophy. The floor squelched beneath our boots, and veins pulsed under a thin membrane that coated everything. In the center stood Marcus, or what was left of him. He was suspended in the air, his limbs pulled outward by chains of sinew. His body was changing, stretched, hollow. His mouth hung open, and from it came a low, guttural chant in a language none of us knew. Caden raised his camera, but it shattered in his hands. The light dimmed. A shape stirred behind Marcus. Something massive, tentacled, faceless, older than logic. It moved with no sound, a being of shadows and hunger. It pressed closer, drawn by our presence. Lena started to cry. "What is it?" she asked, voice cracking. I couldn't answer. No one could. The creature reached toward us, and Marcus smiled. I wanted to run. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to turn back, to claw my way out of this living nightmare.
Yeah.
But there was no escape. The chamber pulsed, alive, breathing with a rhythm that wasn't our own. The walls watched us, eyeless, expressionless, but somehow aware. Marcus hung there, his body still changing, his limbs stretching unnaturally. The thing behind him, the creature that had been waiting in the shadows, loomed over him like a priest at an altar. Its form was impossible, a shifting mass of darkness, writhing tendrils and an absence of anything familiar. It wasn't just a monster. It was something beyond comprehension. It saw us. Lena gripped my arm, fingers digging deep. Her breath came in quick gasps, her eyes wide with horror. "We have to." Marcus twitched. His head snapped toward us, his glowing red eyes boring into mine. His lips moved, and when he spoke it wasn't his voice. It was a chorus, layered and broken, a mix of whispers and screams. "You are not welcome." The entity behind him stirred, its massive form shifting like smoke, yet heavy as stone. A tendril slithered forward, dragging across the floor, leaving a slick, black trail in its wake. The air became thick, choking. Caden took a shaky step backward, raising his broken camera like it would somehow protect him. Marcus. Marcus is gone." The voice that came from him was not human. His jaw unhinged slightly, as if his mouth had been forced to accommodate something larger.
Yeah.
He opened the mine is a womb. The birthing has begun. The temperature plummeted. My breath came out in mist, my body shivering despite the sweat clinging to my skin. Then Marcus smiled, grinned, stretching his lips far beyond what should have been possible. "Would you like to see?" And suddenly, we did. The chamber blurred. The walls warped, twisting, pulling us into visions not of the past, but of something worse. A town, long before our time. Miners covered in soot and desperation, digging deeper into the veins of the earth, striking something they were never meant to find. The rocks split, revealing tunnels that hadn't been carved by human hands. They celebrated at first, thinking they had discovered a fortune in untouched minerals. Then the whispers started. Men went missing. Some returned, changed, their eyes black, their bodies hollowed. They spoke in voices that were not their own, of things that lived beneath. The town priest called it a test of faith. He led the people down into the mine, torches in hand, chanting prayers. They never came back. Instead, the mine grew, swallowed homes, claimed the streets. What was once Habala became something else, something unseen, buried, waiting. And now it was awake. The vision shattered, slamming us back into the present. I fell to my knees, gasping. The taste of rot filled my mouth, the scent of decay thick in my nostrils. Caden was on the ground, hands over his face. Lena was shaking violently. Marcus, if it was still Marcus, watched us with amusement. "You see now," he said. "This place is not a mine. It is a mouth." A wet sound echoed through the chamber like something vast shifting. The flesh-covered walls stretched. Something inside was moving. Lena sobbed. "We can't be here." Marcus, or what had taken him, floated closer, tendrils extending from his back, dripping with the same black ichor that leaked from the creature behind him. He cocked his head, considering us like insects beneath glass. "You were called," he said simply. "All who enter are chosen." The creature behind him shuddered. Then it lunged. I barely had time to react. A tendril shot toward us, moving faster than I could comprehend. Caden shoved Lena out of the way, but the thing struck him full force. He screamed, a sound that wasn't just pain, but something deeper, more primal. The tendril wrapped around his torso, lifting him effortlessly into the air. I scrambled to my feet, reaching for him, Cade, his eyes met mine, wild with terror, his mouth forming words I couldn't hear. The tendril pulled, his body contorted, jerking violently. His flesh rippled like something was moving inside him. His screams choked into wet gurgles as his ribs caved inward, as if being sucked dry. Then, pop, he was gone, nothing left. No blood, no bones, just gone. Lena shrieked, her voice raw. I grabbed her, forced her to move. Marcus laughed, a sound that belonged to something that had never known joy. The first offering, he murmured. The ground beneath us trembled. I ran. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I just ran. Lena's sobs were muffled against my shoulder as I dragged her through the tunnels. They shifted around us, closing off paths, opening new ones, leading us deeper instead of out. The mind didn't want to let us go. A deep voice, not Marcus, not human, rumbled through the walls. You cannot escape. You are part of the song now. Something was coming. Something worse. I turned a corner and a door. A rusted, iron door standing alone in the tunnel. It shouldn't have been there. It made no sense, but none of this did. I didn't care. I threw myself at it, dragging Lena with me. My hands fumbled for the handle, slick with sweat. The walls behind us groaned, opened. A shape emerged, tall, impossible. A thing made of writhing limbs and endless hunger. The door wouldn't budge. I screamed. Lena grabbed my hand, whispering something I barely heard over the roaring in my ears. Then, the door opened. We fell through. Darkness swallowed us whole. I hit the ground hard, the impact jarring my bone. The world spun around me, a blur of black and red, of flickering shadows and distant screams. My head throbbed. My body ached. But I was alive. Lena groaned beside me, clutching her side. Her breath was ragged, her face pale, streaked with sweat and dirt. She looked at me, eyes wide and frantic. Where are we? She whispered. I didn't know. The door, the impossible, rusted door, was gone. There was no tunnel behind us. No grotesque creature looming in the dark. Just emptiness. The air was thick, humming with an unnatural stillness. A dim, sickly green glow pulsed from above. I looked up. The ceiling wasn't stone. It was skin, translucent, veined, pulsating like a massive organ, stretched impossibly far. Beyond it, dark shapes moved, shadows with too many limbs, too many eyes, watching. I gagged, bile rising in my throat. This isn't real, I whispered, trying to convince myself. This can't be real. Lena shuddered. Then why does it feel like it is? I forced myself to stand, pulling her up with me. The ground beneath our feet wasn't solid rock, but something softer, something that gave slightly under our weight, like walking on old, bloated flesh. Ahead, the space stretched into a long corridor, walls slick with something black and wet. The only way forward. I didn't want to move, but something was coming. A faint clicking sound echoed from behind us, rhythmic and deliberate, like nails tapping against stone. Click, click, click. Lena stiffened. Do you hear that? I nodded, throat dry. Click, 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 growing closer. I grabbed her wrist. Run. We bolted down the corridor, our footsteps squelching with every step. The clicking chased us, growing louder, faster. Something was behind us. I didn't dare look. The tunnel twisted and turned, but there was no branching path, no options. We were rats in a maze, led deeper into the belly of something inhuman. Then the corridor opened into another chamber, this one even worse than the last. Bodies hung from the ceiling, suspended by tendrils of black sinew, not corpses. They twitched. Their mouths moved in silent screams. Lena clamped a hand over her mouth, her eyes brimming with horror. They're alive. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over something soft. I turned and froze. It was Caden. Or what was left of him. His face was still there, frozen in agony. His eyes stared ahead, unblinking. His body, his skin, was stretched unnaturally, merging into the fleshy walls like he had grown out of them. A faint, wet gurgle escaped his throat. I screamed. Lena grabbed me, yanking me away. Don't look. Don't look. But I couldn't move, because Caden's lips were still moving, whispering, Run. It's watching. Then the clicking stopped. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. We turned, and we saw it. At the far end of the chamber, emerging from the darkness, stood something that had once been human. It wore a miner's uniform, but the flesh beneath was all wrong, stretched too tight, bones jutting in unnatural places, the head tilted at an inhuman angle. Its arms were too long, ending in sharpened fingers that clicked against the stone, and its face, no eyes, just a smooth, featureless stretch of skin. But it was smiling, a wide, impossible grin, splitting its face from ear to ear, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. It took a step forward. We bolted. Lena screamed as we ran, our path twisting, unpredictably. The tunnels shifted, leading us in circles, keeping us trapped. Behind us, the thing laughed, a dry, rasping sound, like air whistling through broken glass. Then the walls moved. They breathed, and something reached for us. I grabbed Lena, yanking her through the nearest opening, a narrow slit in the fleshy rock. We tumbled into darkness, fell. The sensation lasted forever, an endless descent into the unknown. Then, impact. Pain exploded through my body. My vision swam. When I opened my eyes, I was alone. The tunnel was gone. The creature was gone. But so was Lena. I sat up, heart hammering. Lena. My voice echoed in the empty blackness. No response. I staggered to my feet. My flashlight flickered weakly, its beam barely cutting through the dark. I wasn't in a tunnel anymore. I was in a room, smooth, black stone, lined the walls etched with symbols that moved when I stared at them. The air smelled of rot and old blood, and at the far end, a door, not rusted, not ancient, but pristine, white, with a handle. Something about it felt wrong. I swallowed hard, stepping forward. My fingers brushed the handle, and the moment I touched it, I heard Lena scream, not from behind the door, not from the tunnel, but from inside my own head. I stumbled backward, clutching my skull. The scream rippled through me, distorting the walls, bending reality. And then, a whisper. You were never supposed to leave. The lights went out. I couldn't see. I couldn't breathe. The darkness swallowed everything. A crushing void that pressed against my skull, coiling inside my bone. I stood frozen, ears straining for any sound. Lena's voice, the scraping of the creature, anything. But there was nothing. Then, a whisper. Open the door. The voice was neither male nor female, neither near nor far. It came from everywhere, and nowhere, curling around me like cold fingers on my spine. I turned slowly, my flashlight flickering back to life. The white door stood before me, untouched, waiting. No, I backed away. Every instinct in me screamed that opening it would be worse than staying in this nightmare. The walls shifted. A low groan filled the air, as if the mine itself was waking up. The symbols carved into the stone walls began to twist, forming grotesque shapes, faces frozen in agony, mouths stretched wide in silent screams. Then, the door knocked. 3 sharp raps, loud and deliberate. I clamped a hand over my mouth to keep from crying out. The knock came again, and then, the handle turned. I bolted. I didn't know where I was running, only that I had to get away. The chamber stretched, pulling away from the door, as if the mine itself didn't want me to leave. My boots thudded against the stone, breath coming in ragged gasps. Then, something moved in the dark ahead, a shadow, shifting. I skidded to a halt, barely keeping my balance. The figure emerged into the dim glow of my flashlight. Lena. Her clothes were torn, her skin pale, streaked with grime. She stood unnaturally still, her head tilted slightly. Lena. My voice cracked. She didn't answer. Her lips moved, but the words were wrong, whispers that didn't belong to her. Then she lunged. I barely dodged as she swung at me, her nails raking through the air. She wasn't moving like her. Her motions were stiff, forced, like something was wearing her skin. I stumbled backward, heart hammering. Lena, it's me. She let out a shuddering breath, her eyes rolling back into her head. Then, in her voice, she whispered, it's inside me. A sickening crack echoed as her body jerked violently, her arms bent at unnatural angles, her spine twisting, her limbs moving like a marionette on tangled strings, her face contorted, flickering between pain and something else. Something hungry. I stepped back. No, no, no. Lena let out a choking sound. Then she screamed. Not in pain, but in rage. She charged. I turned and ran. The tunnels blurred past me, walls narrowing, the air thick with the stench of decay. Her footsteps pounded behind me, relentless, too fast. The mine was playing with me, twisting reality, shifting the path. Then, I saw it, a jagged opening in the rock, barely wide enough for me to squeeze through. I dove inside, the rough stone tearing at my arms and shoulders. Darkness swallowed me whole. I lay there, chest heaving, ears straining for any sound. Silence. Had I lost her? Slowly, I turned my head, and she was there, pressed against the rock face, staring at me, her lips peeled back in a grin that wasn't hers. I sucked in a breath, my entire body going still. She tilted her head, her neck cracking. Then, in a low, guttural voice, she whispered, "It's watching." Her eyes rolled back, and she convulsed violently, her limbs snapping as something inside her moved. I squeezed my eyes shut, whispering, "This isn't real." When I opened them, she was gone. I didn't know how long I lay there. My body curled against the cold stone. My mind was unraveling, slipping between fear and reality, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I needed to move. I pushed myself up, every muscle screaming in protest. My flashlight flickered, barely casting enough light to see. The tunnel ahead was narrow, suffocating, like the throat of some monstrous thing. I moved forward, my breath shallow. Each step echoed. Then I heard it, a heartbeat, not mine. It came from beneath me. The ground throbbed, pulsing in time with the sound. I felt it in my bones, vibrating through my flesh. I was walking on something alive. Panic clawed at my throat. I hurried forward, my boots squelching against the slick, wet ground. Then, I stepped on something soft. I froze. Slowly, I looked down. A hand, buried in the fleshy ground, reaching up, fingers twitching, grasping at the air. My stomach turned. Then, the ground split open. I fell. Darkness swallowed me. I landed hard on something that wasn't stone. It was softer, wet, shifting beneath me. I scrambled to my feet, the smell of rot and blood overwhelming. My flashlight flickered, and I saw them, dozens, hundreds, people, trapped in the walls, their bodies fused to the living flesh, their faces frozen in silent screams. Some were old, decomposed beyond recognition. Others were fresh. Then I saw Caden. His eyes moved, locking onto mine. His lips barely parted, voice weak. "Help me." I staggered back, bile rising in my throat. This wasn't a mine. It was a graveyard, a place where something fed. And I was next. The walls shuddered. Deep, guttural voice echoed all around me. "You are almost ready." Then something moved in the darkness. I didn't want to turn around, but I had to. Something shifted in the dark. A slow, slithering sound, wet, heavy. I swallowed hard and lifted my flashlight. The beam trembled as it cut through the shadows, revealing nothing. Only the walls still writhing, still pulsing with the trapped bodies inside them. Then, a sound, not a growl, not a whisper. A breath, hot, slow, right behind me. The air turned rancid, thick with decay. My entire body locked up. Then, I felt it. A hand, cold, clammy, fingers brushing the back of my neck. I spun, swinging my flashlight like a weapon. It hit nothing, but the walls moved. The flesh pulsed, shifting, as if something inside was watching me. I took a step back, my pulse hammering in my ears. I needed to get out, but where? The tunnel was gone. The chamber stretched endlessly, a sea of bodies trapped in the grotesque walls. Then, a sound cut through the silence. A footstep, soft, deliberate. I turned my light, and I saw it, a man, or at least what was left of one. His body was wrong, his limbs too long, his skin stretched taut over bones that jutted at impossible angles, his head tilted unnaturally, a grin splitting his face too wide, revealing rows of teeth that didn't belong in a human mouth. His eyes, sewn shut, but he was looking at me. I stumbled back, bile rising in my throat. The man's grin widened and his jaw cracked open, the stitches snapping apart, revealing something inside writhing. Then he laughed, a dry, rasping sound, and he moved. I ran. The chamber twisted, the walls closing in. The grotesque figures reached for me, their fingers twitching, mouths moving in silent pleas. I didn't stop. The sound of footsteps followed, fast, inhumanly fast. I burst into another tunnel, the air suddenly colder. My lungs burned as I ran, my flashlight flickering wildly. Then, something grabbed my ankle. I fell hard, my chin slamming against the wet ground. Pain exploded through my skull. I twisted, kicking at the thing, holding me. A hand, but not his. It was Lena. Her fingers dug into my leg, her body half submerged in the fleshy ground, her face contorted in agony, eyes wild with desperation. "Help me," she choked. I grabbed her wrists, trying to pull her out, but something was pulling her deeper. Black tendrils wrapped around her legs, slithering up her torso, yanking her down inch by inch. She screamed. I pulled harder. The shadows behind her moved, and I saw it. Something massive, something with too many arms. A towering figure, its elongated body blending with the darkness. Its face was a void, an empty, gaping hole sucking in the light. And it was watching us. Lena sobbed. "Don't let go, please." The thing reached for her. I made a choice. I pulled with everything I had. Her body ripped free, and we both tumbled backward, gasping. But the ground split open beneath us, and we fell. I woke to the sound of dripping. My body ached. My vision blurred. I was alone, again. "Lena," I croaked, my voice raw. No answer. The darkness was thicker now, pressing against me like a living thing. My flashlight was gone. Only a dim, sickly glow illuminated the cavern around me. And the walls were breathing, slow, rhythmic pulses. I pushed myself up, my fingers sinking into the spongy, wet ground. Then, a sound, soft, familiar. A heartbeat, not mine. It came from beneath me, slow, deep. I froze. Then something opened. A massive, vertical slit, split the ground apart. A mouth, rows of black, jagged teeth lined the fleshy pit, moving, and I was standing on it. I scrambled back, just as the jaws snapped shut, missing me by inches. The cavern twisted, the walls melting, the air thick with whispers. Then, a figure stepped into my path. Lena. But something was wrong. Her eyes were black, and her smile was too wide. "Lena," my voice was barely a whisper. She tilted her head. Then she spoke, but not in her voice. "You should not have come here." Her body jerked, her limbs twitching like a broken puppet. Then she lunged at me. I barely dodged, stumbling backward. "Lena, stop." She laughed, a horrible distorted sound. Then she whispered, "It's inside me," and her skin started to split. A deep, black gash tore down her torso, revealing something inside. Something moving, something crawling out, and it had my face. I screamed. The cavern collapsed around me, shadows swallowing everything, and then, nothing. I was falling. No air, no light, just a void, swallowing me whole. I reached out, clawing at nothing, my screams lost in the abyss. Then, I hit the ground. Pain exploded through my body, my bones rattling from the impact. I gasped, choking on the thick, rancid air. I wasn't dead, but I wished I was. The ground beneath me was soft, pulsating like living flesh. The walls towered above, twisting and shifting, forming grotesque shapes, faces, arms, open mouths, whispering my name. I pushed myself up, every muscle screaming in agony. My flashlight was gone, but a sickly glow bathed the chamber, illuminating the horror around me. And then, I heard it. A voice, deep, Ancient, you have come far. My blood turned to ice. I turned slowly, and I saw it. A massive entity towering over me, a grotesque, shifting mass of limbs and faces. Its form constantly changing, writhing, hungry. Its body was fused with the walls, with the mine itself, and at its center, a gaping void, a mouth, endless rows of black, jagged teeth, shifting, grinding, as if tasting the air. The voices came again, echoing from within the creature. You do not belong here. My breath hitched. What are you? It laughed. A sound that made my skin crawl, that vibrated inside my skull. I am the hunger beneath. The mine, it wasn't abandoned. It was alive, and it had been waiting. My mind screamed for me to run, but my legs refused to move. The creature shifted, its form distorting, and then I saw them. Lena, Caden, the missing explorers. Their bodies fused into the mass, faces half-formed, mouths moving in silent screams. Their eyes flickered with recognition, trapped between life and death. Caden's lips parted, his voice barely a whisper. It won't let us go. Lena's blackened eyes locked onto mine. Run. The walls shuddered, the ground beneath me shifting like lungs breathing. The entity moved, its many arms reaching for me. I turned and ran. The tunnel twisted, reshaping itself as I fled. The creature's whispers slithering through the air.
You are almost ready.
The ground cracked. I fell forward, barely catching myself. Ahead, a light, a single flickering glow in the darkness. The exit. I sprinted, my breath ragged, my heartbeat a drum against my ribs. The whispers grew louder. Stay, become, feel. The tunnel collapsed behind me, the entity rising, dragging itself forward with grotesque limbs, its many mouths opening. I reached the light and jumped. I hit the ground hard, but this time, it was stone, cold, real. I gasped, sucking in air, fresh air. I rolled onto my back, blinking against the sudden brightness. I was outside. The entrance to the mine loomed behind me, a dark, gaping wound in the earth. For a moment, nothing moved. Then, the ground rumbled, a deep, echoing sound, like something shifting far below. Then, silence. The mine was sealed. Or, was it waiting? I staggered to my feet, every part of me aching. My mind felt fractured, splintered by everything I had seen. Lena, Caden, the others. I had left them behind, or had I? I turned, my breath fogging in the cool air. The world felt wrong, like I wasn't truly back. Then, in the silence, a whisper. We are still here.
I ran.
And I never looked back. The end.